Through the first 2 months of 2020, with the world's attention elsewhere, China was grappling with a silent enemy, the SARS-CoV-19. The epicenter of China's COVID crisis was in Hubei, in its provincial capital, Wuhan. It took 2 weeks for China to go from identifying the virus to locking down Wuhan. A city of 11 million people shut down. An experiment unheard of in modern history. Was it the only option? The Chinese government insists that if Wuhan had not been closed off, there would have been more than 700,000 COVID cases outside the city. A Lancet study found the lockdown both reduced the magnitude and delayed the peak of the COVID-19 outbreak. So how did they pull it off? The challenge was twofold. The medical one of tackling the virus, and two, the administrative one of keeping the entire population indoors. The Chinese government rushed in an army of people into Wuhan, including 42,000 health workers from across China. 2 special hospitals were constructed in 2 weeks by construction crews working round the clock. China accelerated another crucial area, testing to identify COVID-19 patients. The testing was not just fast, it was free, plus the government paid the hospital bills for all those admitted for COVID-19 treatment. Even those in quarantine were kept in special isolation centers and not at home, since home quarantine could potentially create cluster outbreaks. Government workers were reassigned. Everyone was on COVID duty. For example, a receptionist could now be checking temperatures, a parking lot attendant could be assigned to contact tracing. In fact, at one point, 18,000 people were working on contact tracing in Hubei. Factories were repurposed. A laptop manufacturing plant made face masks instead. An electric car factory made medical equipment. But what about the needs of those who were not sick? Wuhan's lockdown meant 12 million people were ordering food online. Apartment buildings placed consolidated orders. The food was delivered to a special zone built at the gates. Because of its history with SARS, China and its citizens were perhaps better equipped to deal with a healthcare emergency of this magnitude. Has all the effort paid off? On the 23rd of January, when Wuhan went into lockdown, China had 800 or so COVID-19 cases. In 2 weeks, it was over 31,000. But 2 weeks after that, the number of new cases was clearly falling. So within 4 weeks of locking down Wuhan, China had managed to flatten the curve. But how reliable is Chinese data?
There is a lot of investigation going on, and we're going to find out.
From Donald Trump to research scientists, several people have questioned whether China is airbrushing its statistics. China revised its data for Wuhan as late as mid-April, upping the number of deaths by 50% on April the 17th. Even the basic definition of who is a COVID patient has been changed 8 times by the Chinese authorities. Besides, this is China. It's a country that can and did successfully impose measures that would be tagged extreme and draconian by liberal Western democracies. This included cracking down on any narrative that ran counter to the government's. From citizens to doctors, anyone accused of spreading rumors was punished harshly. So the picture we're seeing is perhaps a picture that China has painted, but the scale remains massive, a huge challenge and an all-out response.